Good day, I am Jailord Ibarra and this is my final Privatissimum of the subject Modern Philo 87. So the book that I've chosen is entitled Monadology of Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. So the question confronted by the book is, how does God relate his nature to every being? The thesis exerts God's intimate connection with monads shapes human nature, aiming for the possible world. So, in paraphrase, human nature is formed by God's close relationship with monads and aspires to the ideal world. So, Wilhelm Leibniz claims that every being is the possible approach to everything that exists, which came from nature of the highest by the substance of monads. This will lead to our perception, sensation, existence, character of God, design of the ideal world, and the organic makeup of living things. So God's intimate connection to human nature and for the best possible world is supported by these three main points. The first main point, God scatters everything, mind, image, soul. Second point, man's organic structure, nature, perception, God's goodness. Third point, principles, nature, grace, substance of monads. So this first point exert that all minds are combined to create God's work. And as mind are God's likeness, and they must constitute the highest and most divine aspects of creation. So this suggests a belief in a divine entity, which is God, who is God, that is responsible of placing or distributing various elements or aspects on earth. So the part of souls which enclose all things suggests that souls are somehow interconnected with all things on earth. So the second main point, this asserts that even organic bodies exist only in perseverance. They can be thought to be subject to countless changes because they are founded in someone's dominant monad. So, the organic structure of bodies suggests that the physical composition of human beings, their bodies, is product of God's goodness. So this nature of perception implies also that the way humans perceive and interact with the world, including their cognitive and sensory abilities. Furthermore, divine grace actively aids natural reason in attaining this level of knowledge, and God reveals himself to philosophers through variety of his works. So this line, which came from Sasenti, my second source on 2018 of his articles. So my third supporting point asserts that the principles of nature and God and their implication to the human nature of having basic substance of monads. So Leibniz claimed that every monad is a living mirror of the universe. So monads are seen as expression of nature, is a living mirror of the universe. So these compounds are pluralities and simple substance whose lives, souls, and minds are unities. My three objections to the three supporting points. Number one, not everything scatters images and souls. So God doesn't scatter in the likeness of his image and soul, but it is fairly throughout the earth because some beings are non-living and others are lack of free will. So, for example, the plants, animals, and other creatures that are not humans don't have the will. So, the only creatures that can rationalize with the highest ability to relate to plants and animals are only humans. Now, I consider that humans are the most moral of all living things and the highest spiritual structure, even though other creatures bear God's images. And the second objection, God's goodness cannot immediately perceive birth defects, disease, and natural disasters. So, in this idea, we can see the goodness of God in ways that we can't fully understand diseases. Natural disasters and birth defects are also plans of the greater divine. So the point of God's goodness is shown in human bodies that may seem a chance with ev- specific evidences of natural disasters and birth defects. So in today's society, these arguments are based on the beliefs that many birth defects in this situation results from flaws in the organic structure of the human body. So the problem of suffering brought up brought up the topic of theodicy, which examined the relationship of God's nature. So my objection number three, Monad's non-satisfactory explanation existence of human nature consciousness. So monads are not able to fully clarify the complexity of human inner life and their own experiences of consciousness. According to this, it isn't enough to explain feelings, sensations, and singular experiences among the aspects of human consciousness. So those who are against said that giving this mental event to fundamental experiences of monads would reduce the range of personal perceptions and reduce human awareness. My three answers to the objections. Number one, God's likeness, nature of both humanity and divinity. So this idea that humans were made in God's likeness prompts serious inquiries about the nature of both human and divinity. So this shared essence may include attributes like reason, reason, moral agency, moral agency, consciousness, or the capacity for spiritual awareness. The idea that we were made in God's image leads to philosophical inquiry into the nature of divinity. These concepts have to examine the issues of our identity, moral, and connections in the natural world that proceeds our knowledge to the place in the universe. Excuse me. So, my number two answer to the objection, God allows free will to every nature of being. It is not said that God made this moral evil and nature evil, but these arguments that God allows evil to every nature of being. The argument holds that people's moral evil is caused by their having free will. The goal of Leibniz is to preserve God's holiness and have justice against all forms of evil. He divides into four categories: moral, physical, spiritual, and metaphysical. From the article of Strickland Lloyd on 2019. So, natural evil is a kind of evil that results from natural laws and the universe structure rather than decision made by humans. These perspectives proponents contend that natural evil is not a direct result of God but rather is a fundamental property of the universe. And my answer to the objection number three, Monad's empirical study, measurement, and non-physical subjective experiences. So, since human minds or mental states are the bearers of truth, any relationships they have to any non-physical reality are in essence constrained by the fact. So monads present a particular challenge to empirical study, measurement, because they are taught that non-physical entities with subjective experiences. So according to this philosophical perspective, monads' inner experiences are unable to observe, measured, or examined in the same way that physical events can. Instead, physical events can be empirically observed, measured, and studied. In conclusion, profound relationship to the divine, meticulous investigation, recognizing the divine essence. So finally, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, monadology reveals a profound relationship between God and fundamental elements of our existence, the monads. So Leibniz reveals the complex connection between God and humans through a meticulous investigation of monadic nature of reality. Accepting Leibniz philosophy reminds us of our significant connection to the divine, aspiring us to explore and depths of our being and recognize that which is divine present in both one another and the world around us. So, my insight, nature of humanity, spiritual interconnectedness, moral complexity. So when I think about monads, I am drawn into the fascinating worlds of philosophy, consciousness, and the boundaries of human comprehension because of how difficult it is to study and measure them empirically. So my insight for this is I cannot comprehend what monads is, but it is a nature of God that He shares to human being to be adopted, to have that monads for our existence, perceptions on what we have done and what we have done in this world. So that is the interconnectedness of both spiritual and physical to God. And my question, holistic interconnectedness confronting free will. So how we are holistic, how we are interconnected and confronting and how we confront our free will. So, how we will use our mind to grasp things and how we will interconnect with other things, with other beings, such as animals and plants, and how we confront our free will for doing good or bad at all times. So, this is my final pre-Privatissimum for this class, and that's all in this video. Thank you so much and have a great day. Thank you.